Broadcasting to you live from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, this is TBC News. Our top stories tonight. President Dr. Samia's visit to South Africa hailed as a success.
We have discussed a number of bilateral, regional and continental and global issues of mutual interest, including diplomatic, economic, political.
Calls for urgent action after cyclone disaster in Malawi.
I have directed that all of us as a nation observe 14 days of mourning.
Good evening, I am Nasa Kingu. Just a reminder, you can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBConline, and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter pages, all at TBConline. President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan says Tanzania and South Africa are in a better position to enhance even further their bilateral cooperation on the areas of trade and investment, as South Africa is one of the main sources of foreign direct investments in the country. She made the remark during a media briefing held at the Union Buildings where the official state visit took place. Faida Gaga has more details.
It is the first state visit by President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan to South Africa. After both heads of state meeting, it was time to meet and brief the media, which was presided by order of South Africa being conferred on her.
I now confer on President Samia Suluhu Hassan the Order of South Africa. She shall henceforth be honored as an esteemed member of our national orders. The people of South Africa salute you, Madam President, and congratulations to you, Madam President. Yes, you can open.
For the past 10 years, from 2013 to 2022, a total of South African 70 projects, mainly in tourism and manufacturing, have been registered by the Tanzania Investment Center worth $137.4 million. President Samia Suluhu Hassan's visit paved a way for the review of the Binational Commission (BNC) agreements between the two countries, especially on the areas of education, social, and culture. And here the head of state explains how these initiatives demonstrate both nations' resolve to strengthen even further the bilateral cooperation.
Largely, we have discussed a number of bilateral, regional and continental and global issues of mutual interest, including diplomatic, economic, political, as well as peace and security relations. He said it all. We also agreed on the importance of enhancing our cooperation in regional and multilateral arenas through the Southern African Development Community, SADC, the African Union, the United Nations, the Commonwealth, and the groupings. We certainly stand to gain a lot from such cooperation. Distinguished members of the press, with regard to the second session of the BNC, I can inform you that we have reviewed the status of our cooperation in various sectors with a view to accelerate implementation of all bilateral agreements we have entered in different areas of cooperation, and some of them have been signed here, and we will all witness the signing ceremony.
Earlier, the two presidents eyewitnessed the signing of two memorandums of understanding between the two countries on political and diplomatic consultation. On his side, President Ramaphosa says he is committed to explore new ways of cooperation between South Africa and Tanzania, with a key aspect of the bilateral cooperation to be on trade and investment, with both heads of states expecting to attend the upcoming Tanzania and South Africa Joint Business Forum.
Among the industries under discussion in the Business Forum are agriculture, agro-processing, oil and gas, mining, and infrastructure development. South Africa has some 250 companies invested in Tanzania, and the trade between our two countries is robust and it keeps on growing.
Finally, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa confirms participation of Tanzania in the upcoming 15th BRICS Summit. President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan is on a state visit to South Africa at the invitation of President Cyril Ramaphosa.
From Pretoria, South Africa, now back to Tanzania. Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has directed the Dar es Salaam and Water Sewerage Authority, DAWASA, to ensure that those who need safe and clean water are connected with the service within 14 days from today. He gave the directive in Dar es Salaam during the launch of the construction of a water supply system project from Makongo to Bagamoyo. Here's the report by Harry Mabumo, read to you by Apasia Ringo.
It is the launch of the construction of the water supply system project from Makongo to Bagamoyo at Tegeta A. Here, the citizens, despite praising the work done by DAWASA, they also asked the implementation to be done on time.
The most important thing is the management of the responsibilities. And if possible, the authority responsible should deal with the management rather than expecting the civilians to manage them. We have received well what the government has said, but the government should make sure they stand on what they say. In the 14 days that have been mentioned, everything has to be executed.
The government has been doing a great job, and they have been listening to the citizens' demands.
Earlier, when inspecting the project and launching it, Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa says the government's goal is to ensure that 95% of urban citizens have access to clean water by the year 2025.
We know that there are places that haven't been reached by the water supply system. DAWASA has to strengthen its operation such that they ensure water supply to the citizens.
Furthermore, he says the government is still not contented with the level of water supply connections done so far and will continue to look for other sources.
We are currently making sure that we create multiple sources of water supply. We are not satisfied with producing 590 liters. We continue to make boreholes and strengthening the rivers that are a source of water.
On his part, the Minister for Water, Juma Aweso, directs all those concerned to be issuing water bills with precision and review the water collection fee and procedures.
The instruction that we provide to the acting director of DAWASA is that all citizens who have requested to be supplied with water, they should be provided with the water supply within 7 days.
Earlier, the Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Water, Engineer Cyprian Luhemeja, says the water level above and below the ground is sufficient to meet the needs of the Tanzanians.
We have enough water. Our only challenge is the water supply system to the people.
Malawian President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera has declared 14 days of mourning for people who have lost their lives due to Cyclone Freddy. Dr. Chakwera made the declaration through a national address at Sanjika Palace in Blantyre. Dr. Chakwera says he had a cabinet meeting to approve more than $1.5 million to assist the affected.
In the meantime, in view of the extent of the loss of life caused by this disaster, I have directed that all of us as a nation observe 14 days of mourning and that all flags fly at half-mast for the first 7 of those days.
He says it is disheartening that 13 districts are affected. Death toll has passed 300, 707 are injured, and thousands of households are displaced, and calls on the international community to offer help.
I've received help from the United Nations, from the U.S., from others that have promised. Malawians have risen to the occasion, and they are donating foodstuffs, they are donating plastic buckets and other things. and even blankets. And so we are happy that everyone has begun to respond. We have sent out an SOS to our neighbors here in order for further help to be had, because, like I said, the last 3 days, even visibility has been a big problem. And so airlifting anything would have been not possible. But now it looks like Freddie has lifted, and therefore we will need that kind of help as of now.
He urged that the government is mobilizing resources to ensure those affected are assisted, and he insists that the disastrous effects of climate change do call for concerted efforts from all nations.
Devastation and sin before this time. 13 months, 3 devastating cyclones, and we're trying to do the best we can, pull ourselves by bootstraps. It cannot happen without international help. We cannot happen without everyone rallying behind us and saying what is happening to us can happen to anyone, anywhere. And we just need the kind of multilateral response that says, while Malawi is trying their best, with all the constraints that we have in terms of our budget, let the world come in and help Malawi, because we cannot afford to be going backwards instead of forward in terms of all of the provisions that Malawians need and the development that we so desire.
Judges and lawyers continue to give their assessments on how to improve criminal justice institutions in the country, where among the recommendations given is for some more institutions to be investigated, and arresting of the suspected individuals should be done after the investigation is complete. Apasia Ringo has more details.
Speaking after submitting his assessments to the Criminal Justice Commission, lawyer Peter Kibatala says that among the recommendations presented is on how to improve case processings.
Tumezungumza mambo kadhaa, tumetoa maoni kuhusiana na jeshi la polisi kwa sababu wote mnafahamu kwamba
we have talked about a number of things, and we have made comments about the police force. And as far as we know, these are the first people in the criminal justice system to deal with suspects. We have given various opinions, including the police force, to have a body to manage it.
On his part, the High Court Judge Augustine Ruzileja recommends the removal of the procedure of arresting individuals and taking them to court when the investigation is not complete.
Msingi ni mengi na hatuwezi kuyasema yote tukayamaliza hapa. Lakini tunasema ni kwamba tumependekeza sheria mbalimbali ikiwemo sheria ya makosa.
We have proposed the various laws, including criminal law, economic sabotage law, and many laws that affect human rights, especially when they are brought to court. The important thing we suggested to be improved is the procedure of arresting people and bring them to court when the investigation is not completed. This should be completely abolished. Also, committal proceeding is the sense that a person found guilty of economic sabotage is arrested and taken to a court that does not have the authority to hear the case. It says until the investigation is completed to be held by the High Court. We have recommended that the law be repealed so that a person is brought directly to court when the investigation is completed and the court issues a decision.
Si mahakama ya wilaya alikopelekwa au mahakama kuu iliyo na mamlaka. Kwa hiyo sheria imeweka utaratibu huo. Tunapendekeza utaratibu haufai, ufutwe kabisa.
The Criminal Justice Commission has set aside 16 days to collect recommendations and assessments from various forums involving institutions, non-government organizations, citizens, and criminal justice stakeholders to improve the criminal justice system and institutions in the country.
Tanga Regional Commissioner Waziri Kindamba says Tanga region is determined to increase cooperation with various investors in order to make the Tanga port the main business gateway in East Africa. He made the remark immediately after visiting the port to inspect its performance.
Tanga Port is going to be competitive in East Africa and Africa in general. Also, the world will know what Tanga Port is capable of. I assure you that this port is in good condition It's highly efficient and its security is strong. As a regional commissioner, I welcome and promise to cooperate with all business personnel, and we look forward to invite ambassadors to prove that our President, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, is doing a great job.
Usalama ni mkubwa, sio kwamba labda kuna kitu fulani kitachomolewa au nini.
On his part, Tanga Regional Port Manager Masudi Mrisha says they expect to welcome a large ship from the United States.
We expect a ship from the United States, MV Mosovo, which will carry a load of 50,000 tons, of which 35 tons is for Sayona and 15,000 tons is for Nikand. All that cargo will be saved, and the ship is 189.9 meters long. The regional commissioner has seen the report and praised that its statistics is increasing, and it is something good.
Ameona ile ripoti na ametusifia kwamba bandari ya Tanga inaonekana takwimu zake zikiongezeka, sio zikishuka.
The Tanga port is one of the ports that has undergone massive improvements to accommodate larger ships. The Tanzania Banks Association, TBA, says it is collaborating closely with the Minister of Finance and Bank of Tanzania to accomplish the master plan to ensure that by the year 2030, financial services do reach more women and young people who were statistically left behind. Here is Faidan Gaga with more details.
The executive director of the association, Tusekelege June, says that the number of management positions in the financial sector is still low. So specific measures are being taken to ensure that no group will be left behind in the implementation of various important agendas in the financial sector and the economy of the country.
Kwa hiyo TBA kama sehemu ya utekelezaji wa hiyo mpango kazi au
TBA, as part of the implementation of the Financial Development Master Plan, we are making sure that the bank's strategies meet the goals set in this master plan.
Mikakati au strategies za mabenki zote zinakidhi kwenye.
On their part, financial institutions, leaders and participants who presented topics in the meeting say that in this period when technological innovations are gaining momentum around the world, women should be involved in every step and change their social and economic conditions.
Hili la wanawake walio kwenye sekta ya kibenki tunalenga.
Through this group of women in the banking sector, we aim to continue our quest to ensure that the inclusion of women in the official financial system is possible.
Wanawake kwenye mfumo rasmi wa kifedha unaendelea kuongezeka.
What is our role as a bank in ensuring that women are included in banking services is to be able to improve their lives socially and economically.
That item concludes the local news tonight. International news is up next. And here is Faidan Gaga with all the latest in international news.
President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda has warned Western countries to stop imposing their social practices like homosexuality on Africans. Addressing the parliament in Uganda, President Museveni says he wonders why Western countries threaten to impose sanctions on those who are opposed to homosexuality, yet it should be the other way around. President Museveni concentrated his speech on the parish development model and the socio-economic transformation of the Ugandans. Nigeria will hold its first census in 17 years in May this year instead of the end of March as planned earlier. The Information Minister, Lai Mohammed, says the delay is due to gubernatorial elections. Speaking to reporters in Nigeria, Mohammed says because of the rescheduling of the elections, the National Population Commission cannot commence the census as scheduled. The election for new governors was pushed by a week to the 18th of March. It is still unclear when in May the census will be held. The last census was held in March 2006, with the results released the following year, putting the population at 140 million. According to the United Nations, the country's population is now estimated at more than 200 million, and it is expected to be the third most populous country in the world after China and India by 2050. In another development, Nigeria has sanctioned about 25 broadcast stations for failing to adhere to broadcasting laws while covering last month's general elections. Reports say the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, has also issued a final warning to 16 other broadcasting stations for various poll-related offenses. The United Nations nuclear watchdog says it is trying to locate around 2.5 tons of uranium that has gone missing from a site in Libya not under government control. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, says its inspectors found that 10 drums containing uranium ore had disappeared when they visited the undisclosed site on Tuesday. They are now trying to establish what happened and how the nuclear material was removed. Inspectors fear the uranium could pose a radiological risk as well as nuclear security concerns. They had intended to visit the location last year, but the trip had to be postponed because of fighting between different Libyan militias. Police and demonstrators have clashed in Senegal's capital, Dakar, before a court case involving opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. Law enforcement officers fired tear gas at hundreds of Sonko supporters as they trailed vehicles, taking him to court for the resumption of a civil libel case against him by Senegal's tourism minister for alleged defamation and public insults. Protesters burned tiles in the streets and hurled stones at police. Sonko denies all wrongdoing and says the accusations are politically motivated and no date has been set for the trial.
That was international news. Sports news is coming up next. And here is sports news with the team captain, Mario Cheto.
Government urges film artists to use opportunities from different international organizations to develop their careers. Speaking with the TBC News reporter in Dar es Salaam, the Deputy Minister of Culture, Arts and Sports, Hamis Mwinjuma, says artists should use their artworks as employment opportunities for the betterment of their lives.
Them just to open their eyes and see the opportunities around them. This is one of the examples, and Seko Shamte took it. And she's not being paid a lot of money like it was mentioned before, but some steps are being made. Some steps are being made, and I hope artists, directors in Tanzania are learning through this event.
I was chosen to be the main character. It gave me a hope, not only a hope, but courage to be even more courageous in my job, but to put more effort in it.
Sweater Movie is a short film which cost me for almost 10 days to record, 10 days to 11 days, but it's only available in 15 minutes. So it's very wonderful for me. It helps me to go beyond.
Deputy Minister of Culture, Arts and Sports, Hamis Mwinjuma, met with the film artists to discuss opportunities available in the sector. Tanzania and the Kenya model and the designer have joined hands to showcase their quality clothes, aiming at promoting it to the international markets. Speaking during the Catwalk Killers fashion show held in Dar es Salaam, models and the designer says the show has been the roadmap to reach the international markets.
I think I bring energy, I bring good vibes, I bring the Kenyan model, the African model. I bring to you what everyone needs to find in Africa.
As a model, I'm really excited to see what is happening, what is different in Tanzania as compared to Kenya. Definitely the goal is to get to the European industry and all that.
It is the third time for the Catwalk Killers fashion show to showcase their quality product and has already attracted markets of Tanzanian clothes in the East African community. Mario Cheto, TBC News.
Yes, of course, that was Mario Cheto with all the latest in sports and, of course, entertainment. That marks the end of our news bulletin for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. On behalf of the whole crew, I'm Nasa Kingu. Have a lovely night.